Welcome back, everybody, to this special presentation on the 2021 race for New York City mayor. We are catching up now with the two candidates who participated in tonight's Republican mayoral debate right here on Pix 11. You just heard from Fernando Mateo right before this break. Now Pix 11's Ayanna Harry, a moderator tonight, sitting down for a one-on-one interview with Curtis Sliwa. Hi, Ayanna.
Good evening, Dan. Mr. Sliwa, great to see you again. We just saw you a few minutes ago. That was certainly an energized debate. How are you feeling?
Feeling good. I was listening to Fernando, my opponent. He said he doesn't have positions. Well, he's got positions, but not policies. I've got policies. I wanted everyone to know they could go to CurtisSliwaForMayor.com to see those policies. That's CurtisSliwaForMayor.com. But again, Pix 11 deserves so much credit because Republicans have been shut out in this mayoral contest. Most people don't even know we have a primary June 22nd. You've given us a great deal of coverage. And obviously, by hosting this in-person debate, I want to give credit where credit is due.
Thank you. We appreciate that. And speaking of your policies, I want to talk a little bit more about education. Learning loss, such a huge issue. So many of our kids spent months and months and months on Zoom. So how do you make up for all that time that they missed out on in-person instruction? How do we get the kids caught back up?
Let's be honest. We have to redshirt our children. My oldest son, Anthony, in high school, my middle son, Carter, in junior high school, and Hunter in elementary school. They deserve a complete full-year education in the classroom. Michael Mulgrew and Mayor de Blasio prevented that from happening. So I would redshirt them. Let them make up the entire year again because we've deprived them. And I'm thinking of children that didn't even have the laptops that my sons have who were cheating, Roblox, Fortnite. But they had nothing. Come on, we got to redshirt them and give them that opportunity at an education
When you
again.
redshirt a child, then what happens next?
You don't socially promote them. You make them go back and do that year in class so that they can benefit. So you're not just pushing them ahead, which is so often what our public school systems have done, socially promote people. Then they get into the CUNY system and they have to have remedial education afterwards in the basics of reading, writing, and math. And I'm saying to myself, we have a captive audience. Let's educate these children to the best of our ability and promote parochial and charter schools.
I want to talk again about stop and frisk. You mentioned possibly bringing it back. The city was sued over stop and frisk.
Yeah.
So how do you restore stop, question, and frisk and do it constitutionally and do it in a way that's legal and fair?
Well, look, at the end of the Bloomberg administration, it was out of control. He had police officers filling out 250s, and they imposed a quota system. I mean, I would eliminate quota systems for parking tickets, moving violations, Department of Sanitation tickets. There'll be no more quotas, but a quota on stop and frisk? No. When you have probable cause, as it is meant to be used, it is constitutional. I see a bulge. There's a call about a suspect who matches your identity. Yes. Stop, question, and frisk, but not to indiscriminately take people, as I've witnessed, throw them up against the wall, pat them down. You can do that outside of a head shop in the hipster millennial neighborhoods, and you would have made a lot of buzz, too.
Mr. Sliwa, thank you so much. I know you could talk for a very long time, and we
let's
appreciate
keep going.
it. I would love to, but we do have to get it back over to Dan. He has a little bit more.
Thank you very much. Time to analyze how Mr. Sliwa did tonight. Once again, I'm joined by political professor Dan Cassino and Democratic strategist Dr. Susan Johnson-Cook. So same question to both of you right off the top. How did Curtis Sliwa do, Dr. Cook?
Overall, he did pretty well. He was all over the place a little bit, but he had creds on the public transportation and on night shift.
Dan?
He did pretty well. He is a great communicator. He's got a lot of experience doing that. He brought it to the fore. Unfortunately, I think there was some oddness in some of his policy views, but that again, he communicated.
Elaborate on what you mean by oddness.
So there are certain things that seem very inconsistent. They did. We want to increase the number of people in gifted and talent to get more people in gifted and talent education. Great, but we also need to keep really high standards for the specialized schools so we don't let too many people in and give those people the opportunities. I don't necessarily see what the logic is of those sort of contradictions.
And Dr. Cook, he was actually just referencing the stop and frisk policies again.
Right.
What are your overall thoughts on that, and does it actually help him?
Well, now it does, because he was able to elaborate. When it's just asked, do you believe in stop and frisk, and you say yes, who understands that? But with him saying stop, question, and frisk, it gave him a little more time. But on his oddness, I didn't know about gifted and talented, whether he was hoping that they would expand so his kids could get in it, or whether it was for everybody in New York City. So there was some oddness, and he went from animals to people to humanity to mental health. He was kind of all over the place, but on the public transportation, he has creds. I grew up with Curtis Lewa. In fact, I was surprised that he had kids in grade school, but he's been on those subways, he rides them, he's been protecting, so he's got creds, and he's got
So then what are
creds.
your thoughts then overall, Dr. Cook, about his thoughts of refunding the police in terms of safety? Because the transit is a big part of safety right now in terms of New Yorkers and how they feel.
I think he's right on with that. I think you have to look at how we fund it, because it's not going to take care of itself. You have to find where the funds are going to come from. So I think he was on point with that.
And then specifics about homelessness. There's a lot of talk, but I was looking for specifics here. Did he give them?
He gave some specifics and some stuff that, look, if you've been doing New York politics in the 1970s, you'd be talking about LaGuardia Farms and sending people upstate to the Hudson Valley. Given who lives in the Hudson Valley now, I'm not sure that's exactly where we want to be sending our homeless population. But these are ideas, they're old ideas, but they're ideas that have perhaps fallen in favor. Maybe there's a space for them now. At least there were some specifics in there.
Well, going back to a Jack Kemp model is not necessarily what's real right now. I mean, so he was kind of a little vague on that. I would have liked more specificity on the homelessness issue.
Yeah, let's talk about the idea around his voting record as well, because we did ask, Fernando Mateo, who said that he voted for Donald Trump. Curtis Lee was saying, no, he voted independent. What are your thoughts?
Look, it's going to be hard for Curtis Lewa to say he's a Trump Republican. That said, I think actually he is probably closer to President Trump than a lot of other candidates. And that's mostly because he's not a traditional Republican, not a traditional conservative. He is a New York City Republican, which is a very different breed.
Dr. Cook, 10 seconds
He's
here.
representative of what the Republican Party is facing right now. A lot have left and become independents because they don't want to stand with Donald Trump. I think he's very clear on who he is, and I think he left like so many Republicans did.
All right, thank you both. You are sticking around because there's a lot more still to discuss, as well as the Democrats from our forum last week. But let's talk about this, everybody, because one thing that makes this primary historic, it is the first New York mayoral primary election to employ the new ranked choice voting system. How many times have you heard us talk about this? It's being used for some down ballot races as well. Coming up, we're going to take a very close look at how this works. You are watching the 2021 race for New York City Mayor on Pix 11, your local election headquarters. Don't go anywhere.
New York State